If my daughter is watching this right now, I would say, I love you. And come back home to your mother safely and unharmed. And I love you. And when you do return back, and if you do return back unharmed, you would never, ever go with anybody else. You would be next to my side at all times. They say he's armed, that he's dangerous. He's wanted by the FBI. Kahlil Tatum wanted in connection with the murder of his wife, wanted in the disappearance of 8-year-old Relisha Rudd. He bought my daughter a fish tank, but I stopped it there. No more gifts. DC General needs to be, I don't know, they need to really do a really thorough background check with these workers. Sources tell News4 Relisha's mom had allowed Tatum to take Relisha weeks ago, not suspecting he would hurt her. The minute people saw that beautiful little girl's face, there were people in DC who could think of nothing else except to find out where she was. Her picture was everywhere. Her on every TV story, on telephone poles, on everywhere. Everyone was sharing it on social media. It was the search for her was something that Washingtonians, people from this area who were living here 10 years ago, you say her name, they immediately know what you're talking about. My relationship with Relisha, it was good. It was like, even though she wasn't my biological child, it was like, it's hard. It's really hard, but it was special in its own way. She was a real sweetheart. We can no longer turn a blind eye to this issue of missing people of color around the country. 40% of the missing population are Black and brown people. It had been almost a month since she had attended classes, but sources tell us this is not the first time officials knew of problems with the little girl's family. This family was under the supervision of Child and Family Services. So this child should not have gone missing. Doreen, why was this guy at a DC hotel? And why did he have this little girl with him? I think as we look at Relisha's story, we can ask ourselves, okay, what other Relishas are out there? And what am I doing to prevent this from happening? The significance of this section of the Anacostia is that we are directly downstream from Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens. That is where the search for 8-year-old Relisha Rudd has been focused for days. We have to continue to hold her in our collective hearts and make sure that we do everything that we can do to prevent another child from going through what she did. The search for Relisha Rudd resumes tomorrow morning. Relisha's stepfather among those speaking through tears. Now, this is when my baby back. Yeah, I got hope, but I'm preparing for the worst, but out praying for the best. I got hope. My son believes he's alive. And this is coming from a brother. Relisha. This is a confusing and disturbing story that spans both the district and Prince George's County. And at the center of it is an 8-year-old girl, with big, beautiful brown eyes. You can see her there. I remember being called to a scene of a homicide in Prince George's County at a motel in mid-March of that year. And we were told by Prince George's County Police that there was a deceased woman inside there. And through the next days and weeks, we learned this astonishing story of the disappearance of this little 8-year-old girl, Relisha Rudd. Late this morning, a distraught man, seen here in a red jacket, identified himself to officers as Relisha's father and spoke to them about what was going on. So where did him defend? That's when I found out that she was really missing. It was just in disbelief at that point. Like, she really missing? Oh my God, your baby. How can you throw this? Shamika told us that she was in Georgia with her teacher. The family says Relisha's mom always had a reason to explain why the girl wasn't around. Relisha wasn't reported missing until Wednesday when Payne Elementary School alerted police. Investigators say Relisha may now be with a man named Kahlil Tatum, who works at the shelter where Relisha and her mom were living. I want to know why Shamika telling us so many different stories about the case and not being honest. My family had their own copy contract, and we would get work, and we would go in and out of town, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, etc. They do hotels and people houses and Airbnbs and office buildings. We had big contracts, so it would take weeks for us to do the work. So in around the town, this stuff was happening back in D.C. I was out of town. So I really didn't know what was going on. So I got back home. Linked to the girl's disappearance, this man, 51-year-old Kahlil Tatum, the janitor at the homeless shelter, seen here walking down a hotel corridor with Relisha back on February 26th after police say Relisha's mother gave her daughter to Tatum. He didn't look like that type of person. He looked like a good person. The way he played with everybody, kids, the way he did his job, it's all in the man hands above us. And that's one thing that man above us don't play with is fools and babies. And my 8-year-old daughter, she is a baby. First, we want to tell you about a neighbor who says if he had known that little girl wasn't supposed to be there, he would have called the police. Tatum's neighbor tells News4 he's seen the little girl at the apartment building. I seen the little girl about 3 weeks ago. She was coming out the apartment, eating out the apartment with him and his old lady. I haven't seen him since. I ain't seen him since the other day. Neighbor Maurice Jackson says Tatum implied the girl was his niece and said he and his wife had just returned from some type of resort with the child. Relisha went to Payne Elementary School, but she hadn't gone to school for weeks. And when officials got suspicious, they say janitor Tatum became Dr. Tatum. March 10th. On or about that day, Kahlil Tatum, posing as a doctor, tells a city official that Relisha's not in school because she's sick, that she has some sort of neurological disorder and she's undergoing treatment. The official says, we need some documentation of that. Dr. Tatum said he'd leave the paperwork here at the shelter. March 19th, as the investigation intensified, Kahlil Tatum and his wife checked into the Red Roof Inn on Oxon Hill Road. Sources say there's no evidence Relisha was with them at the time. March 20th, Andrea Tatum is found murdered inside that motel room. Mrs. Tatum's family believes she was killed because she tried to protect that little girl. At this point, we do not know what, if any, type of vehicle Tatum may be driving. So we utilized all of our resources. We, contacted our team, and we were ready to go to help find and bring her home. And we wanted to amplify her case because we knew that someone knows something, or someone would know something, and we needed to find and bring her home. We cannot ignore the possibility that he may have killed her. They had found video of Tatum at a local Home Depot buying a shovel and construction-sized trash bags. And so that led to the search of the Kenilworth Aquatic Gardens. The man wanted for kidnapping an 8-year-old girl and killing his wife is found dead. Police say Tatum killed himself in the same park where they've been searching for Relisha Rudd for the last 5 days. Subsequently, they dragged the Anacostia River near D.C. General. When they started tearing down D.C. General, they started unearthing parts of the building that hadn't been searched before, so that there were more searches. So months and even years after her initial disappearance, police were still conducting active searches whenever they got a tip or they had reason to believe that they might be able to find what they ultimately thought would have been her remains. But in the end, they never found any sign of the young girl who remains missing to this day. Social workers were aware of problems with Relisha Rudd and her family well before the 8-year-old girl was reported missing to police. Rudd and her 28-year-old mother had been living in the homeless shelter at the old D.C. General Hospital for 18 months, along with Rudd's 3 younger brothers, while the 8-year-old girl stopped showing